Coach, last time we talked to you, all the questions after the weight gain were about the meeting and just stuff going on around the team and that kind of thing. How have you seen the guys react in the last couple of days? I know you had practice. You didn't have practice Wednesday. You had it yesterday. What have you seen from the guys in responding to the conversations and everything else?
Their response has been the same over the last, since I've been head coach. One of the things that I always tell them is that in life, you are going to get knocked down, and that includes basketball. And so when, not if, when you get knocked down, you have a choice of either whining, complaining, and pointing fingers and making excuses, or you can get back up and competitively fight. And this group, over the 2 years that I've been head coach, has consistently done that. And so, the last couple days, specifically yesterday at practice, because we did have Wednesday off, not only in terms of execution, in terms of basketball, that the practice was good. I felt like the energy, the effort, the enthusiasm, the togetherness, the closeness was really good as well.
As a follow-up to that, you talk a lot about blocking out the noise, whether it's positive or negative. How much have you had to talk to them about that the last few days since the noise has kind of been on fire a little bit?
I talk to them about that every day. My communication with them in terms of focusing on what is real and what is right is our preparation, is our practice, and our play. And anything outside of those three things is of no benefit to us. So those are conversations in the 2 years that I've been head coach I have had with the players pretty much every day. And so that message has always been consistent.
Armando pointed to Thursday's practice as like, let's all get together if you're in or out type deal. Did you see a different type of fire out of the players at all? Anything a little bit different in terms of how locked in they were compared to anything else, given what Armando kind of said to the team, it seemed like?
Yeah, I didn't really compare the practice to anything else other than that I thought it was a really good practice. But our practices leading up to Wake Forest were really good.
Yeah.
I was really pleased with them. And so can we have another good practice today, and can those multiple practices translate tomorrow against Clemson at 2 p.m. And so that's my hope, that's my expectation, and but the practices were really good.
Is there anything different you've been stressing? You stressed on Thursday compared to the practices?
No, my message has been clear, definitive, and consistent all year. It's been clear and consistent in terms of having a hunger and thirst. It's been clear and consistent that we have to get consistent in terms of the discipline and the details that allow us to be successful out there on the floor, on both ends of the floor. I've been consistent with them in terms of, in order to play here at Carolina, you have to have a love for basketball, a love for your teammates, and a love for this place. And so those are things that I've talked to this year's team, since this year's team has come together in the late summer. And so my message has not changed, my message has not wavered, and the reason why it hasn't wavered is because that's what I feel like this team needs.
Is there something that's been overly frustrating? Because you've been saying in the last 5 minutes that the energy's been great, the practices have been great. What's been the most frustrating thing about the last week or two in your mind?
I wouldn't characterize it as frustrating. Even though things don't go the way that you want them to go, I can't be frustrated with them. I enjoy coaching them. I enjoy being around them. I enjoy the process of growing with them. And so linking frustration to this team, I just can't do. I've just never been there with them, and I never will. This is one of the things that I always tell the team is find joy in how hard it is to be successful individually and as a team. When I played here at Carolina, it was unbelievable. It was hard. When I played in the NBA, it was unbelievable. It is hard. And last year was hard and it was unbelievable. And this year's unbelievable and it's hard. This is hard work. And what I preach to them every day is if find joy in how hard it is to be good, to be consistent, to be successful. And I think that translates to life, and I love teaching life through basketball, and I'm never frustrated with them. I'm just happy that we're working through this together, and I wouldn't pick another group of kids to be able to go through this. You know, I rock with these guys. I love these guys to death.
Hubert, at the beginning of the season, you mentioned sort of a written contract or a typed out contract that the players had given you and that you had like framed in your office. Have you gone back and referenced that to them these past
all the time?
days?
All the time. All the time, and talk to them about their words and the identity that they wanted this team to look like, because this is their team. And so I remind them all the time the paper that they signed and the words they put down on paper to show what type of team they wanted to be on both ends of the floor. And so I think it's great to remind them. I think it's great to show them, and not only to remind them and to show them, but to show them the benefits of being able to do those things on those paper on a consistent basis. And so it's been great, but I mention it to them all the time.
Hubert, for you personally, can you remember when the last time maybe was that you had that level of sort of soul searching after a game, like in the post-game locker room, just for you personally, like that? I don't know if soul searching is the right word.
What do you mean?
It just seemed like there was some soul searching the other night at Wake. I'm saying, you know, when you guys talked it all out after the game was over.
Yeah, I don't see it any different than really any other time. I mean, I know we spent more time in the locker room than we normally would have or normally have, but there have been a number of examples where, whether it's after practice, before practice, after a game, before a game, on an off day, that we've had really great discussions on our team. Okay. And how can we maximize the most out of this year's team. And so I know it was after a game, but that's something that I feel like we've done all year long.
We mentioned of there being a disconnect between practice and games and not knowing why. What is your guys' process for figuring out the reasons behind that disconnect?
Well, I wouldn't characterize it as a disconnect. I wouldn't say that. Just because we lost the last 3 games, I wouldn't characterize it also again as a disconnect. We lost a 1-point game to Pitt. It was tied with 1:40 to go at Duke. We didn't play a very good first half at Wake, and so there are times that you don't play as well as you want to, and so the only thing that I know what to do is to get back to work and continue to competitively fight and to figure it out. And that's one of the things that I'm so proud of this group, is that they not only, like, this is the number one thing, they are actively interested in trying to figure it out, and I love that about them. That's why I say that I can roll with them.
I know that
you guys only took 18 3-pointers against Wake. How much is that? Not necessarily in the number, but how much is that maybe a model moving forward in terms of just how they were more maybe discerning in taking that shot as opposed to the 27 the previous 2 games?
Yeah, it's hard, because I don't have a number. you know, I don't mind 27 if we make 27. And so I just feel like I think it's been consistent all year that from an offensive standpoint, two things. One, not the last couple of weeks, but we've been really good in transition. And I think we've done a really good job of attacking the basket, whether through post or penetration, that allows us to score there. Our percentages are higher there, and it allows us to get to the free throw line. So that's the thing that I'm looking at. And so whether we shoot 27 or 5, I'm not looking at a number. I'm looking at where we are really good offensively, and are we consistently going to that, or are we settling? And so it's not necessarily a number, it's what kind of shots are we taking? Are we settling for outside jump shots? And so, you know, at times we settle for outside jump shots when we can attack the basket, and that's something that we have to consistently not do.
Going back to the other night, I know you don't speak to what the guys say when they talk to us, but I'm going to tell you what they said anyway and get your thoughts on it. A few of them said that they think that there are some chemistry issues, and I took it as specifically basketball, maybe an in-sync type of thing. Have you noticed maybe less in-sync play the last few games than previously?
Yeah, I'll answer that two ways. One, I have not noticed that at all. I have not noticed that. And two, another thing that, and I've talked to you guys before, that not just here, but just in general, one of the things that I really like to stay away from is I like to comment on stuff that I'm involved in, and I like to comment on stuff that I personally have heard. I think it's negligent on my part to comment and to react to something that somebody said that I don't know if they said it. I wasn't there. And so I'd be more than happy to answer any question directed towards me that I'm involved in, but I can't answer.
Well, that's kind of what I did by asking if you've seen.
I haven't,
anything.
and I asked him, and I have not.
Sounds good.
I have not. I you know, just as much as I want to win, they want to win too. And so I'm sure, you know, they're not happy either. They want to win, and I think that's great. If they were satisfied and content, then we would have a problem. But they want to win. They want to be good. They want to be the best that they can be, and I love that trait from them.
This is Clemson's first visit here since January of 2020. Have you and Armando and Leaky gone back and sort of talked about that game, looked back at that game at all?
No, I would say I think that's a great question, but we have not talked about that. I think this year's Clemson team is so good that our conversations and our attention need to be on this year's team. And so, even though I do remember that, that's something that we haven't talked about, and because our full attention needs to be on this year's Clemson team, which Coach Brownell has done a fantastic job with this group.
What stands out to you about them, about Clemson?
A number of things. They're outstanding defensively. I think percentage defense-wise, they're one, especially in conference play. Their set defense is elite. They get to the free throw line. I think they're second in the country in terms of free throw shooting percentage. They have the ability to shoot from three. They can score consistently down low in the paint. I think Tyson Hunter is having a first team all ACC season. He's been fantastic, and they're a really good team, as every team in the ACC is. And so we're excited about the challenge against playing them, and we're excited about playing tomorrow at 2 p.m.
Is he maybe Hunter Tyson?
Hunter Tyson, sorry.
It's okay. They got a Chase Hunter. They got a lot of the same names.
Yeah.
Is he maybe the most improved player in the league, Hunter Tyson?
I don't know, but he's fantastic. He's been great, and I think the beginning of his career he played mostly the power forward position, and now he's playing small forward. He can really shoot the ball. He can handle it. He can defend. He can rebound. He can post up. I think the number one thing that I really love about his game is he competes. I mean, he's a competitor, and he's fun to watch, and it'll be fun to compete against him tomorrow.
When Armando filed out on Tuesday night, that was pretty early into the second half. We saw Tyler Nickel come in and get a lot of significant minutes. What has his progression and growth been like? Because we haven't seen a ton of him on the court this season.
Well, I mean, his progression and growth has been, really good. He stopped by my office today and we spoke for about 30, 35 minutes. He's such a great kid, and he's extremely competitive. Nobody can outwork him. He wants to be here. He loves it here. He wants to be a part of this program, and he wants to be really good. He's just a joy to coach, and he's getting better and better. Every practice, he understands the things that he needs to improve on, and he continually and consistently works on those things every day. And I really love when he's out there on the floor.
Building on that, with your bench, is there anything particular that you want from those guys, or guys in particular, that can, I guess, enhance what you're doing on the court? Is there anything that it just seems like you're playing 4 or 5 guys there, but I don't know if one guy's, I don't know, kind of phrase is wrong, but is there anything you want more from the bench that you can put towards?
I wouldn't characterize it what I want more from the bench. I think any coach doesn't, I guess from the bench, doesn't want to drop off from the starters and wants consistency. And so I don't think that'll ever change with me. And I feel like every game, whether it might be somebody different, I feel like every game, multiple people from the bench step up. And it might not be the same person every game, but I feel like consistently every game we get good minutes from somebody or multiple people coming off the bench, and I think that's a great thing.
Time for 2 more.
Hubert, a few times you've used what I call the big lineup, where it's maybe Caleb and Tyler and Leaky and either Pete or Puff and Armando. It's basically like size-wise maybe more like an NBA kind of lineup, 6'4", 6'6", 6'7". What do you like about that lineup when you throw those guys out there?
Which lineup is what
it's,
5?
It's like when you have Caleb, Tyler, Puff, or Leaky, one of those, Pete and Armando. It's like all.
I can understand that.
Kind.
Yeah, I think when you play a bigger lineup, I look at it from a defensive perspective that allows us to be able to switch any one of their actions. So whether they're doing a DHO or a ball screen, because we have bigger defenders, hey, if you switch off on a big guy, then we have the size to be able to guard the post, but also those guys also have the ability to guard guards out on the perimeter. And so having that big lineup, there's a number of things, but also initially look at it from a defensive standpoint that allows us defensively to be able to do some things that we probably couldn't do if we had smaller guards or a smaller lineup out there on the floor.
Time for 1 more.
Hubert, what has been your, I guess, concerns with your ball screen defense? It seemed like Appleby was able to get into the lane, a lot the other night at Wake, and when you all played Duke, Jeremy Roach told some of the reporters after the game he felt like your communication wasn't great. He thought if they put, that's what he said to some of the people in the locker room, that if they put you in enough ball screens that you wouldn't communicate enough, and they would basically confuse you. I'm paraphrasing what he said.
No, I can't remember, but against Pitt and against Duke, our defense was pretty good. I mean, we held
63 points you held them to.
Yeah, and so I thought that was, I think in the Pitt and in the Duke game, we played pretty well.
Okay.
Defensively. Now, did we make mistakes? Yeah, but I thought we were really good defensively. We did not have an answer for Appleby. You know, we just didn't, and he controlled the entire game. And he's a great player, and for him, you know, currently right now he leads the ACC in points and assists, and we just didn't have an answer for him. But I don't look at it as we've had a problem at guarding ball screens.
Okay. I didn't know if the talking there, like on the court during the game as it's happening, was something that you all had identified as like, you know, we need to improve it.
I think our communication on the floor has been really good, and I think other than the players, the one person that could identify whether our communication needs to be better or if it's good would be me, not an opposing player.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Coach.